Hello, low, new bear market lows, and welcome to Chart Request Live. You bring the requests, we bring the charts. I am joined today, it's such a special edition Chart Request Live, joined today by my esteemed friend and now co-host for the first time, Larry Thompson. Say hello, everybody.
What's up? What up, chat? What up, charts? What up, Steve? I don't know what we're
This,
going to be doing today, but we got to crank through some charts, huh?
you couldn't have picked a better day to come on. Did you plan this?
I did. I heard that we needed some more bearish people on, so I figured I'd hop on today and kind of get it going. So
Anybody tip you off about T-Day?
I wish I closed some of my puts before the close yesterday. That would have been good to keep them open.
It's never good enough. Listen, same thing, man. For
Yeah.
me, it's like you never do the right thing. You could be prepared. We anticipated these tops. We anticipated a big leg lower, and it's never good enough. The short side is so hard. I was telling customers today now, look out. You're a day away from some sort of face ripper, big bottom stick, and then watch your short profits disappear. So you got to be really nimble. I think the real answer on the short side is scaling out. Scale out on days like today, really.
Yeah. Yeah, you can never get greedy on the short side. Like there's no such thing as greed on the short side. It's you get a winner, think every winner is you got lucky. I got lucky, move on. I got lucky, move on. That's how I look at shorts because it's a hard game.
All right, look, let's stop. Let's before we jump into the requests, let's start with some broad market stuff. So this is the NASDAQ 100. I'm a big short-term rate of change guy, Larry. You probably know that about me. I got VWAPs here anchored from the Q3 2023 low and then the August 5th low from last year. You see the August VWAP has already been broken, tested, downside follow through, and now we're sitting on this VWAP from the last really big corrective wave, which was back in 2023. However, this is the worst day for the NASDAQ 100 since really the bear market lows. You would have to go back to late 2022. So the sellers are in control here, right? And I think these VWAPs give you some really nice, clean levels. Sure, you can go and mark up your chart to some horizontal support and resistance too. You got a big one coming into play here in the NASDAQ. We broke a big one a couple weeks back around 500, but that's really it. Outline your levels, make a plan before they get broken about what they mean for you, right? In other words, when I look at the charts of the major averages right now, until S&P 500 is back above like 575 for me, I'm not excited. I'm not going to be aggressively taking shots on the long side. I'll trade a dead cat bounce, but that's different, right? So have your levels and have a plan.
Facts. Yeah, the market looks like Glass Joe from Mike Tyson's Punch Out, right? It can't take a hit. Every time it takes a punch, it gets knocked right back down. So
yeah, and then be mindful of the massive tops in these risk on groups, right? So for me, it's simple. You got the home builders at 100, ITB, XHB, whatever, call it 97. It's 100. Shout out round numbers. If that's a top, it's probably not a bull market for US equities. And then you got another big one. This is the semiconductors. I mean, is there a more important group of stocks? I would argue no. Slicing in a big way back below those prior cycle highs from late 2021. This is a massive top. Bears are in control. Probably not a bull market for US stocks now that this is a valid pattern. So that's where we're at. Before I scare people too much more, why don't we get into the requests?
I love it. I love it. Someone wants to start in the energy space. Tech Resources, TECK. So kind of want you to outline it, maybe get some fibs on there for them. So Tech Resources.
Speaking of tops, look, this is a bellwether. This is a very liquid name. This one gets traded a lot. Bull markets for, I think it's industrial metals too, not just energy.
Metals and mining. Yep.
So you're at the 38%. You could call this some sort of neckline of a topping pattern, right here. And it's on the cusp of breaking. If you pull up momentum for some help here, you got a nice divergence in place. It's either a top or it's not. And these patterns are tough in the simple fact that you want to be involved, whichever way they go. A lot of times they fail. So if this digs in here, call it 34 confirmation back above those pivot lows, 37 and a half, 37. I think you could trade it to the upside. If it is a top, I think you could trade it much further to the downside. If you pull up just the 62% here, that gets you all the way down to 24, 25-ish. So that would be, I think, a logical downside target. It's either a top or it's not, and you trade in either direction, but we don't know yet.
Trading at 52-week lows here because it's been in this range. So this is 52-week lows for it today. So I wouldn't be excited about getting long until you see, maybe you see, like you said, a back above 40. If not, just leave it alone.
Momentum stands out, not getting oversold, but that's not always a great signal. You got to be patient and let price confirm these kinds of things. I will say too, though, Larry, the metal stocks sniffed this out. They've been telling us for weeks now this is a bullshit breakout in copper, and now you're seeing it. Big, nasty, failed move. But if you were watching something like Freeport-McMoRan, Southern Copper, anything copper, the stocks have been screaming for weeks, saying don't trust this breakout. So now here's copper getting slammed back in the box there. So that's ugly for now.
Yeah. That's the theme of the market here. Those failed breakouts. XLE, near and dear to my heart, right? Below that 95, got slammed again, right? Just can't.
I thought it was going this time too.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I think we all did, right? And that's the theme of this market. Look at new highs, new lows, right? What's happening is stocks are failing to break out and they're falling through to the downside. Those are features of a bear market, right? Not features of a bull. So just something to keep an eye on.
What's next?
MA, MasterCard, price targets on MasterCard, right? Something that's holding up well is financials. Let's see how MasterCard looks.
I like this whole kind of thing, this whole situation. This is boring as hell. They'll pay you a dividend, slow and not sloppy, secular leader, just real quality stuff out here. Go to the blue chips. Look at what's holding up, in this market. We were talking about longs that were working today. They're like grocery stores. You want to see nice candles? Here's Kroger. Right, but this is that same idea as far as I'm concerned. High quality, blue chip name. Still Dow stock? It's Dow stock, right?
Correct.
MasterCard. Here we go. This one's simple. Price structure like this. Bears are in control of the short-term trend. They're definitely not in control of the long-term trend. Anchor a VWAP from the July lows, and you just see that just holding every time here. Now, if you anchor a VWAP from the all-time highs from just earlier, I guess last month now, about a month ago, early March, as soon as we're back above that level, that's the trigger. That's the trigger for me. If you want confirmation, you could use the pivot highs, right? Something like 560 or 584, whatever here, 580. That's fine. But I think you use that VWAP from the all-time highs for a good entry.
Yeah, it's fair. I think, financials in general, right? Insurance specifically, but boring names. I think one thing you don't want to do here is overthink the sector as a whole in terms of financials, because I think one of the things people are like, well, financials are doing okay. We can't go into a bear market. But you got to think, right, Steve, kind of having that CPA accounting background, financials have gotten really boring over the past decade because of 2008. They have to have way more cash on their balance sheets. Their businesses are much more predictable. They're much more boring than they were in past bull markets where they needed to outperform. And this one, they're almost like the utilities. Further.
I'll say, that a lot of the components that drive the financial sector are actually regulated utilities at this point.
Bingo.
Yep.
And those are the ones outperforming.
I still think capital markets give us a ton of great information. I love the way CME, CBOE's trading, different name trade holding up really, really nicely. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Here's ICE. I think NASDAQ still trending well. That's great. But the banks, I don't think they give you that sort of risk appetite information that they used to, because they're just too regulated at this point.
Exactly. Agreed. But good. Your head's in the right bucket thinking about MasterCard and financials in general.
Yeah.
The next
that's the right kind of stock for this market.
Yeah. Next name we're going to is YMM. People are still going to be using their credit cards. They might just be using it to buy groceries instead of stuff at Restoration Hardware. YMM, as in Mickey. MM, 2 M's, sorry. There we go.
Truck Alliance Co.
There we go.
This is international. This looks European to me.
Let me pull it up.
Oh, Guiyang, China. Never mind. Not Europe. Yeah, YMM. Totally.
Transportation.
Nice. Sounds pretty sketchy. What is this, like some sort of like fake electric vehicle company? Look, I like China. I think that's a great place to keep fishing for opportunities. Super long China. This one will now be added to my list. Look, you got 11 to the downside. You could use the pivot highs to jump a breakout, or you could use what we just talked about in the MasterCard, anchor a little VWAP on the pivot high there, because you're already going to be above the VWAP from the IPO, right? That tells you the base is pretty much in. Now let's zoom on in here. If you're looking for an entry, I think weakness back to 11, totally. And then strength back above yesterday's high, 13, with confirmation at 13 3/4. And this one's going back to those old highs. You know, you want 20s for something like this.
Yeah.
China looks great, but Larry, more broadly speaking, like China's got a hold, right? China's got some big levels in play here. I think the K-Web is the cleanest. If you're looking for some sort of guide to keep you on the right side of China right now, this is clean. This is super clean, right? Don't overcomplicate it. If you want to add exposure to China, maybe tell yourself, if you already have some, like a lot of us, if you're going to add exposure to China or get more aggressive on China, let's have this base be in place in the K-Web, right? That happens at, I don't know, 36, 37.
Yeah. Good to see it get punched though, right? I think that's the market we're in, is where if you're in positions, you want to see how they're responding to the punches. Because like we said, S&P 500 is Glass Joe right now. It's not able to respond to any of the punches it's taking. So seeing this and seeing a potential, right, for us to take this punch, not get oversold on the daily, keep RSI in a bullish range, then that's where you're re-adding to those positions.
Here it is relative to the S&P 500. You know, China's been good.
Yeah.
All things considered.
Yeah. Not a bad place to be. Not a bad place to be. SCCO is the next one.
Yeah, just talking about it. I was just looking at this before we got on. They're not acting right. They called the failure in copper. Stocks like Southern Copper Co. So yeah. I think here you got this VWAP anchored from the May 2023 low. It's been really good. You can also draw a big fat support and resistance line here in the low 80s, high 80s range. That's a top, right? If we're to and through this zone here, look at all these pivot lows here. You don't want that to go. So you could draw it in a number of different ways, but the way things are looking out here today, SCCO trading on its lows down 5.5%, we're heading back towards the low 80s. And if that breaks, then you're heading to the low 70s or 60s. These industrial metals stocks have to find a floor, find their footing, and show us something here. Otherwise, copper's going to be back in the box. And I think the commodities trade in general is not going to be as good as maybe some of us hoped. It's certainly as I was hoping or thinking we were headed, right? Larry, you're talking about the way oil and gas is getting slammed today, and energy. Yep. And I look at Freeport and Southern Copper and copper back in the box. Maybe we got a little bit ahead of ourselves on the bullish commodities theme. And that'll happen. It'll happen again. That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, inflation gets flirty, right? It gets flirty with some of these levels. And right, I was thinking about yields, I was thinking about energy. And then I think with what happened yesterday, you can't say anything other than the fact that it made it seem like tariffs are going to be deflationary. It made it seem like tariffs are going to hinder growth. And right when that happens, that inflation story kind of dissipates a little bit. And I would even tell you price, energy wasn't above 95 yet, right? It was flirting with it. We thought it was ready, but it seems like the surprise, the delta, right? The surprise in what occurred yesterday in tariffs was that this isn't going to be inflationary. It's so much more aggressive than we thought. It's going to hinder growth.
So here's the market illustrating Larry's point. Right? You saw the reaction. This is inflation expectations right here. Yep. And the reaction just over the course of the past few days to all this tariff stuff has been this chart actually falling back below a key level. You want to see this moving up and to the right, then we'll be talking more and more about these materials, stocks, and energy themes.
Yep, exactly. Let's see what YouTube's up to. See if we get some requests coming in over there. Peep the Roll, ROL, pest control.
Yeah, Rollins. I'll tell you, as a Florida person, What a business. What a business. The pest control. You have to pay for it. They got us on subscription plans down here.
Yeah, they do. I'm in South Carolina. It's same way. Same way.
And you ever flirt with like getting rid of the service? 2 months in, I'm like, I can't. The bugs are everywhere. It's just insane.
Yeah, I do it myself, but the margins on that chemical they use is insanity. They come out and spray 99% water in your yard and they charge you $50.
The prices they quote me for are just blow my mind. Every time I think of this stock, every time I have Truly Nolan, every time they're here, I'm like pulling up the Rollins chart. They put like tents on people's houses down here for termites, cost thousands of dollars. It's the whole thing. Looks like the circus comes to town. So Rollins looks fantastic. This is one of those slow growth, recession-proof business. It's like trash, man. It's like garbage. Yeah. I love these kinds of industrials. Like I said, they're great. I don't know if you want to call them hedges, but they don't get killed with the cycle, with the business cycle. You want to stay away from those economy stocks in this market. We're talking about things like home builders, semiconductors. They're going with the business cycle. They are the business cycle. Then you have stuff like this. People who come to your house and spray for bugs every month, regardless of what the economy is doing, or pick up your garbage. Fantastic. That's the kind of stuff you want to think about in this market. I also don't think that we're exporting pest control anytime soon, so they're probably not wrapped up in too much tariff stuff, except for the chemicals that probably come from China. So Rollins, if we're above 52, got to be long. Next stop is the 261 fib at 66.
Yep. And think about it one more way, right? If people are spending more time at home, they're going to be in their backyards instead of at the water parks this summer because they have less money. They're probably going to pay for pest control because they have to spend more time outside and at their own home instead of at the beach, right? So not a bad business. Good chart from Ricky there in the chat. Wavy, what up, Wavy? Wavy said SBS. Have a great weekend. Looking at some Latin American, it seems.
Do we still have the SDS? Yeah, I thought he was being a funny guy. I thought I heard SDS because Wavy is okay.
Talking about Brazil here.
SBS. I'm all in. What is this? I want
sanitation services. It's garbage in Brazil.
Okay. Dude, Wavy's literally the best at this show. Congratulations to you, Wavy. He's the best chart requester. I'm gonna buy this as soon as we get off. I bought the packs today. I bought the Stone Co. I'm already in PBR. I'm in Vale. I'm so bullish Brazil. Somebody told me about a Brazilian bank. Booty. There's a lot going on in Brazil, and Brazil looks fantastic. Here's what it really comes down to. This is one of those countries that if you're investing in from a U.S. perspective, it's more about the currency than the stocks. Yeah. Real is so volatile that whether or not you do well in in your Brazilian equities positions, it's going to come down to the real, not so much about what the underlying stocks are doing. So the real is, poking its head higher, breaking out a really nice pattern, hitting its highest level since last October. When you zoom out, I mean, Larry, you got to love this. Little scoop, little score. Let's go. So as long as this chart keeps moving up and to the right, I want to own more and more Brazilian stocks. And I love this name. It's just a big yes from me. Wavy. It's just breaking out now. As long as we're above 18, I let it dance a little bit. This base, it just gets prettier and prettier as you zoom out. So 18 for a tight stop, 16 and change for a little looser one. I think you want to let something like this dance a bit, and then you want to fib it out for a target. But just overall great chart pattern.
Yep.
Target gets about 24.
The devil advocate in me, the only thing I'll add here is just be tight with risk management here, right? We've loved a lot of charts the past 6 months that have failed to break out, and then they've been fast corrections. So if this does become a global issue, just manage risk here should be top priority on top of finding good positions, because nothing's worse than getting excited about something because it's up when the market's down, marrying it, and then getting wrecked.
Track the big international indexes. If the rest of the world is going to fall, they're probably going to go together. Forget something like China, they're just different, but you have big levels like something like EWG, right? Is this a massive base breakout or is it a massive failed breakout? EWQ, same thing. Is France going to complete this base or fail again? EFA, right? Well, we poked our head higher here. We broke out. We were above the prior cycle highs, now back below that level. You want to see all this damage repaired if you're feeling like getting more aggressive with international equity exposure. You want to see these indexes back above these big levels.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see because right, are they following the U.S.? Are they just delayed from following the U.S. down, right? Or are they going to beat to the tune of their own drum? Is it a tech story, or did the tech story just fit for the time being? And tech is what they went after first, because I think when people sell, sometimes they sell based on value, right? They think, okay, these are the most expensive. Let me get out of those first and hold on to the ones that are cheaper. But if the whole market starts to correct, just manage risk in these positions.
You got your levels.
Yep.
Here's the VGK. That's another one. Vanguard Europe. You want to be back above those prior cycle highs.
Exactly. All right. Our head's in the right spot in the chat. This one's from A-Chan. ERJ, Industrial Aero and Space Defense, about $9 billion. Trades about $1.5 million every day. So plenty liquid for people to get positioned in. Right, does about 5-6 billion in sales, and it kind of also does defense when it comes to like Latin America, Brazil, and Europe. So it has international play too when it comes to this aerospace defense. Does announce earnings 2 weeks from now.
I mean, this thing has really done a lot in a short period of time. I would imagine they're caught up in the trade war stuff.
Exactly.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't love it, man. This thing's just teetering here. Here you go. I think you want this on strength at this point. So ERJ, I'm just zooming way out, throwing up a line chart to keep it clean. You had a breakout. It's a new all-time highs just about, and then it failed. So on strength, back above, you call it the pivot highs or the pre-financial crisis highs, 51-ish. Fine. But this one's done so much. Like, it deserves a little digestion, and we're in a nasty market, like Larry's saying. Everything's failing. We're talking about things following to the downside that are holding up. This would be at the top of that kind of a list, right? Things that are susceptible or vulnerable to catch lower. And look at the candle today. I mean, not to be too tactical, but with everything that's going on today, this one tried to pop and they're just slamming it, trading back to the lows. This could get ugly and red before the day's over. Yeah,
I think I hate to sound bearish, but I think it's risky sometimes to fall in love with relative strength on days like today, because that's why people stay bearish for so long, because nothing's funner than making money short when everyone's long, and nothing's funner than having a stock going up when other people's stocks are going down. But do not marry that concept, because it might not last long. So just be aware of that when you're looking at those types of trades.
When you're trying to make money in the market, it's a very, very lonely and very personal endeavor. Like, don't get caught up with other people and what they're doing in the internet or trying to like be a hero. Nobody should be looking at your account, right? At the end of the day, it's just you and your lonely life with your account and your trading, and nobody else fucking matters. So just ignore everything. Great stuff. We're done here. Give me one more. Pick the best one. Go through.
Let me see.
But we got a booked schedule today on Stock Market TV. It's like the market volatility. There's just so much to talk about out here.
I see one healthcare name. Let's get to one healthcare name. Oscar Health, OSCR.
Mario Bertolini, is it? I met him when I was in college. I almost did an internship there. Nice. You know, Hartford is like the insurance capital of the world. So a lot of people from UConn Business School go into like actuarial stuff or just insurance stuff. I just hated the idea of that. I wanted to work at a hedge fund when I was that age. But he was a super nice guy. They have a beautiful office there. OSCR. So this is his new company that he runs now. And if this is not a top, I think you got to be involved. Got to get involved. I love the RSI profile here, the momentum profile. Could draw some sort of divergence like this. We're getting overbought recently. We're not getting oversold on the sell-off. So as long as we hold, call it 13. Really clean here. I think you could play it long back towards the upper bounds, 2350. And if you're above there, you're going back to those old all-time highs called 37. So how do we enter? I don't think you want to maybe blindly buy support in this market. You could start scaling in on a candle like today's, right? Because you do have a nice bullish engulfing candle. We always want to look, okay, where do I have confirmation? Where do I finish the position? Just drop a little VWAP from the year-to-date highs and call it 1470. Confirmation there. I'd finish the position and then ride it back up into the 20s. I love that. I think this is very tradable here. This is interesting. Like it a lot.
Same. That's why I chose it.
Great candle today too. I mean, this is how good things start off support on a day like today. Relative strength, really nice candle. You got a follow through day tomorrow. Sure.
Good stuff from the chat.
Thanks, chat. All right, Larry, any closing thoughts?
No, just be safe out there. Don't be a hero today. I'll be on the morning show tomorrow, so tune in.
Yeah, there will be more days where the market will be open and you'll have the opportunity to lose money. You don't have to do it all in one day. No, but this is the kind of market that people get hurt in. So if you're confused about it, if you're not sure what to do, go for a walk, right?
Facts.
Let it settle itself out. Let the dust clear. And there will be more trades to be made in the future, Larry. This was such a pleasure, my friend. So glad to have you part of the Stock Market TV family. It just keeps growing. All right, everybody, thank you for joining. This has been Chart Request Live. We will be back next week on our regular schedule. Have a great Thursday.
Cheers.
Adios.